3rd Marine Division. They had the manpower, they had the money, they had everything you need. Whereas the Organized Crime Task Force was more like a SEAL team. We could do things a lot faster. Club 7 months before Paul Castellano was killed.
Hello, everyone. It's 6 o'clock. We are efficient. 6 o'clock on the nose. I think that we should get started, or we can give, well, I'll start talking and then I'll introduce Simon and I'll fill out a couple of those minutes that can give everyone a bit of extra time to jump online. So first off, I'm Ellie. I'm the CEO and co-founder of the Bondi to Manly Ultra and the executive director of Bondi to Manly Walk Supporters. So Bondi to Manly Walk Supporters is the not-for-profit and registered charity behind the Bondi to Manly Walk and the reason that we started the Bondi to Manly Ultra. Before we get started on everything, a bit of housekeeping. If everyone can please keep themselves muted while we're on the Teams meet. We will try and mute you if we catch you, but it just helps keep everyone focused, really. And also, if you have any questions, if you can shoot them through in the chat, during the briefing. We'll get to all of them. There we go. Someone missed the muting request there. We'll get through to the questions at the end of the briefing. So I'll run through everything. And if you have questions as we go, we'll get through them at the end. And obviously, if we, keep going, we'll get through to them eventually. So first off, I just wanted to thank everyone for getting behind the event and supporting like the Bondi to Manly Walk, the Bondi to Manly Walk supporters.
All right, thank you.
There we go.
Quick question.
Ivan.
Lauren is meeting with HR tomorrow afternoon.
This is fantastic. I need to mute all. There you go. Okay, I've now muted everyone, hopefully. So Ivan should be sorted. So I was just saying thank you to everyone who's back for the second year. It was amazing to see so many familiar names come through with our registrations this year and everyone commenting on our socials and stuff. I really appreciated it. And obviously you have spread the love because we've seen the event grow so much this year and we really appreciate it. So thank you. And our next big thank you has to go to our partners, Johnson & Johnson, Business New South Wales, Running Room and iMove, Pace, Trail Brew and Goo, Gels, as well as all of our landholders who, host us on their land. And especially Waverley Council, who have Bondi, and Northern Beaches Council have Manly at the start and finish line. So massive thanks to everyone for getting behind us. We really appreciate it. I just thought I'd jump into a bit of a background of why we're doing it. Obviously, I've got this beautiful little picture on the screen. This is really the core of everything of why we organise this event. But a bit of background to who Bondi to Manly Walk supporters are and why we started the Bondi to Manly Ultra. So Bondi to Manly Walk supporters, we work with the 15 government landholders, so 6 councils, 8 state agencies and 1 federal agency, as well as a bunch of additional organisations, so Destination New South Wales, Greater Sydney Commission and the 2 local Aboriginal land councils along the walk, Metropolitan and La Perouse. And we work with them to establish and maintain and, exactly do what's on the screen to protect, preserve and enhance the Bondi to Manly Walk. So we advocate, Bondi to Manly Walk supporters, we advocate on behalf of the public land and natural environment around Sydney Harbour along the walk, working to protect and preserve it for the use and enjoyment of the public. We do it because of all the direct and indirect benefits it provides, boosting physical and mental well-being, supporting local businesses, importantly, protecting our natural assets so that we and the generations to come after us can enjoy one of the world's most incredible natural harbours. So beyond that, beyond our preservation and enhancement advocacy, we encourage enjoyment and use of the track. So we want the community to feel confident using the walk. It's a big one for me, is making people feel confident in what they're doing and getting them outdoors. So we prioritise building our digital and physical infrastructure with our website and our app and our guidebook to support people to get out there and use the trail. So not just on this one day by the ultra fit runners and community that we're going to see on Saturday, but all year round and by the whole gamut of people in our broader community, near and far. So and finally, like one of the biggest things for me is that if people love something, they'll want to protect it. So we really want to get people out there so they can see how spectacular it is. And then, one becomes many and many becomes thousands, and we can, protect the natural harbour that we all really love and enjoy. I just tried to blur through that as quickly as I could. I got 5 minutes down, but I'm clearly very excited about the event, and I have got Simon online. You can see he's in the yellow shirt. Simon's going to run through a lot of operational elements and logistics and stuff that we're going to see on Saturday. So I'm going to hand it over to Simon, but as I said, please chuck questions into the comments box, into the chat box, and we'll get through everything at the end of this very detailed race brief. So I look forward to seeing you all on Saturday. I'll leave it to Simon. Go, Simo.
Thank you, Elle. It's great to be back for a second year. obviously last year's event, we took a lot of learnings from the survey, also our own experiences. The course itself, as Els alluded to, is beautiful. We're so lucky to have the landscape we do on the course we do. So the challenge for us is making sure that you guys get to experience that as much as possible, and not need to face any challenges around where you need to go or how you need to get there, or your rehydration and nutrition as well. So the pre-race briefing is designed to go through all that information so you feel well equipped on event day. There's a lot of information. It's a long event, so there's a long briefing. So I'll just quickly touch on what we'll go through. So obviously event overview, Elle's gone through. Bib collection, bag drop, mandatory gear, event day key timings, start waves, start line, and the management there. Looking at the course map in detail, I'll bring up the course Google map and just also touch on a few of the key areas listed below. And excuse me, I'm looking at my other screen as I'm talking to you. I'm not distracted here. Wayfinding, aid stations, some hazards along the way, including wildlife, toilets and water, and cut-off and redirection plan, the finish lines and transport options, and the medical and emergency protocol and event safety. And then lastly, just touch on some weather forecasts, and then we'll answer any questions we haven't answered already at the end of the briefing. So obviously on 28th, this Saturday, starts at Bondi, finishes at Manly. The distance is just under 80 k's, so 79.15, and total elevation of 973 metres. The Ultra event there's two events taking place on Saturday. There's the Ultra, which is this solo 80k event undertaken by one participant, and then we have the Relay event, which is a team of 4 in sections of approximately 20 k's. So we've got 600 ultra runners and about 355 relay teams. So there's going to be close to 2,000 people out on course. So a lot of people to get through, some skinny sections and some wider sections as well. So we'll touch on how we'll manage that a little bit later. Just while I'm on the relay teams, I just have a comment from the registration team just regarding a few teams that haven't fulfilled their teams. So if you are one of those teams that haven't filled out all your team or allocated all the team members, please make sure you do that before Saturday. These are the bibs. So if you're an elite or pro solo, you'll be having the same, you'll have the yellow backing with your name printed on it. If you're a solo participant, you have a yellow backing, and then you'll see down the left-hand side the wave. So that's what you'll start in. So that would have been what you selected at the point of registration, and that's based on your finish time. So some self-seating. And when we get down closer to the start line, I'll talk you through how that relates. Moving over to the relay bib, you'll see your bib number for your team, and then the number on the right-hand side refers to the relay leg that you will be participating in. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, or 4. So bib collection, a lot of you would have already had some posted out. If you do have that, then no need to come and collect, obviously. But the collection will be this Friday, just next to the Bondi Pavilion, and that'll be between 8 and 6 p.m. On Friday. So that's just on the southern end, the grass patch of the Bondi Pavilion. Some of you who were there last year, that was inside. This year we're outside in a marquee, so just at the south end there. If you do need to collect your bib on race day, we suggest you don't, given that the amount of, it could be slightly busy, so we do suggest everyone does collect it on Friday, but if you don't, there's an option for ultra and leg runners to collect it from the registration desk at Bondi near the start venue. Leg 2, 3, and 4 can also collect theirs at a registration desk at each aid station as well. Just make sure you factor in a little bit of extra time if you are going to do that. Bag drop off and collection. Sorry, it's just repeating a little bit. There you go. So this year we will have bag drop available for ultra runners only. So that is the same as last year. We have the opportunity to drop bags off at the start line, and they can be taken to aid station 2 and or the finish line. Last year we did offer aid station 2 and 3. However, we have decided to just have aid station 2, which is approximately 40 kilometres, and then also, as I mentioned, the finish line. Each participant is limited to one acceptable size bag. So we suggest that bag down the right-hand side. Any standard bag you'd see it in shopping. It's a really useful bag and easy to put some labels on the top as well. So if you are dropping off bags, one at aid station 2 and one at the finish line. In terms of labelling your bags, you'll see on the right-hand side, please ensure you put your wave number and then your bib number next to it, followed by your name and then the location. So it'll be either aid station 2 or the finish, clearly labelled. We will have pens and some tape at baggage collections. So if you don't have the material at home, we can facilitate that at the start line.
So mandatory race briefing, like you have to.
Sorry, is everyone just put on? Great, thank you. So drop off can be done on Friday. If you're collecting your bib on Friday, you can drop it off there, or either at event morning between 4 and 6. Collection, so your bag number 1 will be transported by our team to aid station number 2. And then from there, once you collect your belongings, we then take that bag and put it back in the truck. We then transport that to the finish line. So you'll be able to pick up your bag number 2 and bag number 1 at the finish line. You'll see, I think it's a little bit further down. We'll kind of guide you through how it's going to be laid out. So it's a little bit easier for you to identify where your bag is, but we'll have plenty of crew. You can see here how they'll be neatly placed. We'll have a bit more infrastructure and a few more signs as well to help you through that process. Mandatory gear, all ultra runners must carry 800 mils, obviously once that's depleted, but as long as you've got that pack there. We will have water stations along the route at every 10 kilometres and obviously aid stations, but making sure you've got 800 mil capacity pack, and relay runners, 400 mils or a cup must be carried. Mobile phones must be carried by all participants. Compressive bandages must be carried by all participants, and thermal blankets by the ultra runners. We made a decision based on the forecast that rain jackets won't be required. I anticipating a few questions from relay runners. Can we transfer mandatory gear from leg 1 to leg 2? And as we go through, absolutely fine with that, as long as everyone's carrying the mandatory gear. There will be some ad hoc gear checks, and you will incur a 2-hour penalty if you don't hold this gear, and that'll be deducted off your finish time. Some key timings, obviously, as I mentioned, race bib collection on Friday. On Saturday, the Bondi, so Mandy to Bondi shuttle bus will depart from Belgrave Street, which we'll touch on shortly, between 3:45 and 4, but please make sure you arrive before 3:45. Start line venue will open at 4 o'clock up until 6:15 when the last runner departs. Bag drop open between 4 and 6. We'll have the 80K Elite and preferred starters for the solo and relay starting between 5:30 and 5:31. You must have requested an entry into that wave. So if you haven't, then you won't be in that wave. 80K solo race will then start between 5:32 and 6. The relay will then kick off at 6 and 6:15. The aid station cutoffs, which we'll touch on again a little bit later, at 9 o'clock at aid station 1. Finish line venue opens at 10. First relay runner expected at 10:57. First male finisher expected at 12. Aid station cutoff at 12:20. First female finisher expected at 1:10. Presentations for the winners at 3. And then we have the aid station cutoff 3 at 4:20. Aid station 4 cutoff at 6. And then the finish line cutoff at 8 o'clock. So it's a massive day for both crew, participants and volunteers. But looking forward to it. So start waves. I've gone through those timings in terms of the preferred and elite starting at 5:30. What we do to reduce the density on course and spread runners out, we're obviously sharing the path with general public and also other runners. So what we have to do is spread out runners. So that's why we're releasing 15 runners per 30 seconds. So just when you're at the start line, be really patient and make sure you're following the direction of the marshals and start line manager. It's really important we follow this. Otherwise, we do see congestion on the course, people trying to overtake. We've got single trails where we need to get a lot of people through. So important that we follow those rules. The cutoff times, which you can see on the right-hand side there, for the solo, it's 14 hours, and for the relay, it's 13.75 hours. And they're the rough start times. They are up on the website, but and we will share this information post briefing. But they're a rough estimate of when we expect people to start based on our calcs. It may be a little bit later, but they're what we're looking to go at. So again, wave the solos and elites 5:30. We'll go down to the preferred starters and elites for the relay at 5:31, and then we kick off wave A all the way through to wave D. And then at 6 o'clock, we start with the wave F to wave H. And please make sure you do actually start in your waves to help us. This is a map of the start venue over at Bondi. You'll see the Bondi Pavilion, which I've referred to a couple of times. This is where we had the bib collection last year. That has been moved to the registration desk here. We have a medical tent next door. We have a water station where you can refill or fill up your hydration packs and ready to run. We also have toilets, which isn't actually on this map. On the northern side of the building, there are some permanent toilets there. There'll be plenty of signage to guide you to those toilets. And then we have the start chute here down on the beach side. This is our start chute, start marshalling corrals. Similar to you'd see a lot of road races, we will be guiding A's into the chute here, B's in here, C's in here, and then D's down the back. So look out for the sign that relates to your bib number and make sure you get through. Our marshals on these points won't let you through if you're not in the right in the right wave. So just make sure you're entering the right wave. So as we allow runners out, we will then bring more runners across. So again, as I mentioned, it will take 30 minutes for the solos and it will take 15 minutes for the relays. So be patient and listen to the volunteers and event crews' direction to get into the start chute. We then have the relay, again, pretty similar, exactly the same, just different waves. We have wave F entry here, wave G entry here, and wave H entry at the back. This cafe as well, for anyone that needs their caffeine in the morning, will be operating in the morning. It will be busy, but an opportunity to get a coffee before you kick off on your run. So the course. It looks long, it is long. This is an overview. I'll click on this link just so we can go zoom in on a few areas. But obviously starting in Bondi, heading out to Watson's Bay, and then doing a loop by Aid Station 1, following the water's edge all the way along to the Sydney Harbour Bridge, and then looping back around the foreshore again. Bradley's Head past Tronga Zoo, out to Middlehead, over Spit Bridge to Clontarf, and then following the Spit to Manly Walk, and then up round North Head into Manly. You'll see there's yellow lines. I'll touch on them in a sec, but there are redirection points. So one here, one in here, and one here. So that's if you miss the cutoff points, but we'll touch, as I said, we'll touch on that a little bit later. These yellow icons refer to where our timing mats will be. So those are strategically placed to ensure people are heading out to these endpoints or critical spots. And it's also to allow us to track where you're at so we don't lose anyone on course. And that also ties back into the app and the live predicted tracking on the app to allow your family and friends and your teammates in the relay to follow you. So I'll just give you a quick These are all our course marshals out on the course. This is nearly 2.5 times what we had last year. Massive effort from the team, logistical effort to get them out. Please make sure you thank them on the way through. I'm no doubt they'll be smiling and cheering you on and keeping you going, but yeah, make sure you thank them. We also will have all this signage and cones and tape. So the team will be out on Friday, marking out the course. Again, there was, I guess, a few challenges last year and some critical areas. We've identified them and making sure we put out some additional signage. We're also adding cones in sections. We will also be using chalk, which I'll touch on a little bit later. But that's just to show you how much signage will be out on course. So back to the actual course itself. So starting at Bondi, heading down the beach, over to North Bondi, around the headland. Please make sure you actually head around the headland and don't duck up through this section. We did find a lot of people along the road getting caught out. So please make sure you go around the headland on the grass and then pop back out. There will be cones in this section. And then we're heading back up to Military Road. We will have a single lane closure from this point. So the closure will be on the southbound lanes. So you'll duck onto the road and run all the way up to the top here and then exit off the road. So please make sure you stay on the right-hand side when you're running up the hill because there will be live traffic on the other side. Then heading back over the beautiful cliff edge, very similar or the same as last year. Heading back down along the roads, please be aware of crossing some main roads. We'll have volunteers on point, but just be careful. Last year, we did run down this walkway here. However, that is closed this year. So we'll be heading around the corner and down the path this way. We then head back along the cliff line again, past the lighthouse and over to the gap. Head up the hill and back down onto Cliff Street. Then we head out to Hornby Lighthouse. This is an out and back section. Please make sure you get out here and you do go past the timing map. If you don't register a time, event officials have the right to disqualify you. So please make sure you get out there. Plenty of signage and plenty of course marshals to direct you. Then come back along, go along Camp Cove Beach, do a loop around the headland, come back down to Watson's Bay. Out the front or near Watson's Bay, this will be our first water station. There is plenty of water points that are permanent, which are on the map on the website. However, we have installed a couple of big water tanks every 10 kilometres or approximately. So please look out for that. There'll be a couple of volunteers there enabling you to fill up. We then head back up to the main road, heading back through the residential streets, and then heading over the beautiful Parsley Bridge, Bay Bridge, before we take the roadway back over Pebble Paddock, and then back over to Nielsen Park. I will note this a little bit later. This is a little bit tricky when you actually see it. We'll have a course marshal there, but I'll go through that in a little bit more detail a little bit later. Shark Beach is closed for restoration, so we have to come back down the road and navigate our way around the construction site there. But it is the same as last year for those that did participate. We then come on to the beautiful Hermitage track, my favourite section of the course, all the way through to Rose Bay. Again, this is a little bit of, I wouldn't say tricky, but just be aware that you're looking out for signs in the chalk on the road because it can become a little bit challenging to find your way. We then head onto the beach here, Rose Bay Beach. We need to navigate our way due to some water coming out here, heading back out to the ocean, some sewerage. We're bringing you back onto the New South Head Road. So just look out for the signage. You'll be on this pole here and then head back through an alleyway back onto New South Head Road. We're going to head to Aid Station 1. Where there'll be the first relay changeover at Aid Station 1, rehydrate, get your nutrition into you and then shoot back off, or change over relay point and off you go. Heading back along New South Head Road, around Duff's Reserve and then back down to Redleaf Beach. We then duck back up the hill to New South Head Road. Double Bay, and then through and down to Rushcutters Bay. This section in here, again, residential. It's a couple of road crossings, so just be careful, looking left and right. This section here, just to get a little bit more distance, we're shooting you back round and out to the head, to the top there. Again, if you participated last year, it's the same. But if you see runners coming along this way, don't try duck straight across. Make sure you get out there. Coming through Potts Point, we did experience some challenges last year with some people tampering with signs and tape and whatnot and the markings. It is, I guess, a nightlife area, so people do make some stupid decisions on Friday night. We will make our best efforts and make sure we check this area and get some good signage. But just yeah, make sure you understand this space and where you need to go. So we head back down to Woolloomooloo before entering the Royal Botanic Gardens. This is our first redirection point. So if you miss the cutoff at aid station 1, this is your opportunity. We will guide you through this. You'll get to this point. We will take your bib number, which will be relayed to a marshal at this location, and then we'll redirect you over to this side, cutting off about 1.5 kilometres. So our goal here is to make sure that everyone gets to the finish. Even if you do miss a cutoff, we don't want you to stop. You have the option to pull out. However, we want to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to finish. So that's why we're implementing a few redirection points. Back around Mr. Macquarie's chair, again, one of the more beautiful parts of Sydney. And back to the domain. The domain, there is an event on here. We have a break in the fence at this point and this point, so you will be able to get through, but just be aware of that. This section is one of our main road crossings, which will have marshals, and I'll touch on a little bit later on as well. But you have to, it's critical that we're following the road rules, and we're waiting for that green light. That's part of our approvals and conditions, so we just need to make sure we're following the road rules there. Heading back down Conservatorium of Music, through the gardens again, and then over to Sydney's iconic Opera House. This section we won't actually have marked out. We're not allowed to, but we'll have a course marshal down the bottom of the stairs here.
Everything sold and delivered.
I'll just go back a little bit just so clear. So when you come down onto Macquarie Street, you may look at it and go, I could actually go down Macquarie Street. Make sure you take the upper level and follow the fence line. Again, it'll be clearly marked, but just make sure you take the upper fence line and go along that path. Around the Opera House, back along East Circular Quay, you'll then go, rather than going next to the walls or along the walls, you'll then shoot out onto Alfred Street. So you go underneath the Cahill Expressway and then follow Alfred Street down to George Street. Down George Street, we'll have the cruise ship in, as you see here, so there will be plenty of people around. So just be aware of that. Coming back down the hill, back down to the water's edge, Hickson Road Reserve, we do ask that everyone uses the crossing. Again, it will be very tempting to shoot straight across, no doubt, but please make sure you use the crossing and again, wait for the green light. Head back up the hill where we have our next water station. This is slightly longer than 10 Ks. However, it's just placed underneath. You'll see the pillars before you reach back up to Cumberland Street, but you'll see a big water tanker there, and we'll also have some volunteers, an opportunity for you to refill. Back under the bridge, up onto Cumberland Street, and then another checkpoint here with a timing map. Back over the Harbour Bridge, along the footpath. We then do a loop back down, following over the crossing, and then round the point there. We then go past. This section here was a little bit challenging last year, a little bit confusing, so we'll make sure we signpost this really well. You're heading all the way down to the end, to the cul-de-sac, and then up a alleyway here. Say g'day to Mr. Albanese, Prime Minister's house here, and then we shoot back down to Royal Squadron. Again, a couple of road crossings, and into aid station number 2, Milson Park, another relay changeover point. McDougall Street will be closed. There will be plenty of people taking photos of some beautiful trees in that street. It's a North Sydney initiative, so this will be a busy space. If you are planning to drive as a relay runner or as a spectator, I would suggest you avoid all this area as this McDougall Street will be closed. I suggest you park down around Bradfield Park and then walk your way up. This Milsons Park aid station has been moved from Kesterton Park. So we're heading back around to Kesterton Park, past Sub-Base Platypus. You got some stairs, and then heading back along, again, some residential streets, tricky space, due to there's a lot of twists and turns, but just make sure you're looking out for the signage. We've taken out the Corumba loop, so we're just turning straight onto this road here. Then heading back along Cremorne Reserve, beautiful section. In here, it is quite skinny. We'll have some volunteers there, but it's about one person width. So we just need to manage that with general public as well. Around the Mossman Rowers, looping back around, we head over by the zoo, and then some beautiful single trail, Bradley's Head, all the way over to Clifton Gardens, where we have another another water station, and then we get back onto past Ripples and Chowder Bay. We then go up George's Head, up to Middle Head Road. This is another redirection point, so if you've missed aid station 2, we'll redirect you straight across the road. I think the cutoff is 12:20 at aid station 2, but again, I'll touch on that a little bit later. Heading down the road, if you do see runners heading back up, ignore that, keep running down. You're not going the wrong way. Over the road and then out to Gubba Gubba. I will touch on this a little bit later. This was a little bit tricky last year. People did get lost. A number of people didn't actually go around and go through the timing mats. So please make sure you do. You go all the way around. There'll be volunteers out there. There'll be plenty of coinage, but just be aware of that. Heading back up, Middle Head, and then down to Balmoral Beach. All the way along Balmoral Beach, you then, once you go past Rocky Point, you then duck onto the beach. Right at the northern end of the beach, you then go up a little single trail up to the top, and then you duck back down to Chinaman's Beach. Again, we'll have volunteers directing you where you need to go. We'll also have, so we've got Spit Bridge down here, which will open and close during the day every 2 hours. We will have signage at 1, 2, and 5Ks out, just advertising the closure, the opening times, so you can determine whether you speed up or you slow down. We have got timing mats at both ends, and I'll touch on that a little bit later. It's what we consider a dead spot. So your time on this area will be subtracted from your time, so it's even across the board. We're going to head along Spit to Manly, over to Clontarf Beach, where we've got another aid station and the final relay changeover point. Continue along Spit to Manly, Castle Rock. This is very skinny. Again, one person. We'll have volunteers there, but it can be quite busy on a hot day. So just be aware of this space. We do also find that a couple of the solo runners that are quite tired, you've reached 60 Ks. We've got some teams that have got some fresh legs kicking off and wanting to bolt away. So just be conscious as a relay runner, there could be a few slower people, and just be patient. But also as a solo runner, just staying to one side if you can. Over Spit to Manly, and then this is slightly different from last year. Again, there's construction works in this section here. So from 40 Baskets Beach, we'll then shoot up to Beatty Street. At the end of Beatty Street, we'll then shoot up the hill by a little a little path. We then go over Wellings Reserve, which is a single trail, and then reconnect with the old course. We'll then follow the route all the way over to Manly. Manly Beach, where we reach East Esplanade, which is our final aid station. No relay changeover here, but just another opportunity to get a drink before you shoot off. This is the other redirection point. If you miss aid station 3 or 4, we will redirect you here to then reconnect you over at Bluefish down to Shelley Beach, which cuts off about 5.5 Ks. Same as last year until we get over to this section. So last year we went through Collins Beach and then back up the hill. Unfortunately, due to some restrictions from national parks and some issues with some penguins down there, we're no longer allowed to go up there. So just noting that, we're heading back along the roadway, back up to Darley Road before we reconnect with Scenic Drive. Again, last year a little bit different. We'll go straight over the barracks, reconnect with the course along some raised graded platforms, all the way over to the checkpoint at North Head. This is slightly different here. We're following the wall instead of cutting through this section here. The new headland walk as well, which was just recently completed. The Fairfax track, beautiful section, looping back around past the checkpoint again. Following back the trail, last year we found some challenges with people heading back into the barracks. So we're just going to continue straight along to Bluefish Road and then back down along the track. There is a hole in the wall here. Last year, unfortunately, we had someone change the direction of the signs and we found people getting to this location and turning left and following the wall. Please make sure when you get to the hole in the wall, you go through the hole in the wall. Otherwise, you may be doing a few additional kilometres. We will have a course marshal there, but just to be aware of that. Then coming down to Manly Beach at the Bower, making sure you follow the track all the way around the headland before coming across Shelley and back over to Manly Beach. This will be busy. It'll be a nice day, so this will be a busy section as well. And that's it. Thanks for listening to that. It was definitely long. I'll go through a couple of key areas which I touched on briefly, but the Milsons Park section, which is an out and back, just making sure you're taking the right-hand turn and then doing a loop around, which is about 400 metres, and then coming back down and shooting out. We will have a course marshal here, but just to be aware. Rose Bay, as I touched on, making sure that you come back through. Once you come off the beach, you're coming back through the alleyway and then reconnecting with New South Head Road. This is the crossing at Macquarie Street, which I alluded to. So we'll have course marshals on this island. Please wait until this turns green before you cross, just for the safety of yourselves. Circular Quay, so this is at Wharf 2 when I mentioned cutting under the Cahill Expressway. Again, it's a challenging place to signpost given there's nothing to put it on, so just making sure this construction site will be here, but just making sure you're taking the eastern side of that and shooting under and shooting westbound. Middle Head, I alluded to this as well before. This is the headland, Middle Head, Gubba Gubba headland. You need to head out and back. There's a timing mat out here you have to go over. So please make sure that you follow the cones, which we put here. We'll have a course marshal here, cones to direct you around, and then shooting back the other way. Little Manly, again, I touched on before, but making sure that you're not taking the old route down to Collins Beach, you're taking the streets back. Spit Bridge, so as I alluded to, this will be opening if it's in demand. It only opens if there are boats there, but given it's looking like a nice day, I anticipate that there will be a want and desire for people to take their boats out. So they will open at 8:30, 10, 11:30, 2:30 and 4:30. We'll have timing mats here and here. So as I alluded to before, this will be a dead zone. So if you get caught here, bridge is up, make sure you go over the timing mats. We'll register your time, and then once you get over to this side of the bridge, once it's closed again, that time will be deducted away from your time at the end. So it's balanced out and it's even across the board. Wayfinding, I've shown you the detailed plan, but it is a tricky one to mark out. We've increased significantly the course marshals. They'll be directing along the route. We'll also have pink tape. We'll have directional signs on posts. We'll also be using field cone markers in areas where we can't put any signage up. We'll be using chalk on the ground. There's also the opportunity to download the GPX file for any GPS devices online. So please make sure you do go online and get that file if you need to use it. And also there's an All Trails, which is a downloadable app, which you can utilize as well. Tips for direction, obviously use the GPS device or All Trails. If there's no signage, we suggest you go straight. We will be ensuring we have Signage are all the key intersections, or if it's a long distance between every kind of 400 to 500 meters. We'll also make sure we've got tape every 50 to 100 meters as well. So look out for that long tape, which you'll see here. Will be on poles roughly around that length. This is an example of the sign. And then another example, look out for the pink tape. It's the pink tape. Aid stations. So I've touched on all the aid stations. Aid station 1 at Lynn Park. They'll all have water, electrolyte, fuel, an opportunity to refuel, nutrition, medical, toilets, and timing mats, and obviously relay changeover at aid station 1, 2, and 3. Aid station 4 won't be a relay changeover, but we'll have all the other resources there as well. There will be goo for solo participants, so there'll be goo gels. Please make sure you only take one. I think, unfortunately, last year we got to the end of the race, or the tail end, there were no more goo or gels left. So let's just be fair to everyone else. If you are leading, you're in the front, make sure you only take one. If you need more, we suggest you bring a few additional with you. Baggage transition will also obviously be at aid station 2. For relay runners finishing their leg, they'll have the opportunity to access the electrolyte, the water, the nutrition, but we ask that you please don't access that until you've completed your leg, so not at the start. The opportunity to get water, but not the other resources. This is an example of aid station setup. So what you'll see on the day, this is aid station 1 at Lynn Park. So what you'll see is everyone will gather around here when you arrive. We've got the registration tent here. So if you need to collect your bib, go collect your bib. If you've got any questions, go to registration. You'll then be tracking your fellow relay runner on the app, or via a potentially a Find My Friends or a live tracking app. Once they get about 3 to 5 minutes to arrival, we ask you to enter the relay holding bay. And then at that point, once your fellow participant arrives, you then enter, high five, and off you go. I'll touch on that a little bit more in a sec. We've got the aid station tent, which will have all the nutrition and water and electrolyte in here, and then also medical. And we'll have timing mats as you exit as well. This will be all fenced off either side, so this will be all clear space. So changeover, you can see this beautiful animation over here as to how it works. So we wait till it starts again. So 300 meters out, you'll go over a timing mat, which will then let off a signal or a notification, or you can also pick that up on your app if you're tracking them. That'll notify them that they're roughly 300 meters or up to 500, 600 meters from the relay changeover. So at that point, if you haven't already, please jump into the relay holding pen. And then once you've come through, high five your fellow relay runner. They shoot off, and then you just duck out and go to some spare space. How to know when your teammate will arrive. Touched on a few things, but just important. Use it. Understand what your fellow participant will be running at the average pace, and then work out a rough arrival time. As we touched on, use the Bondi Manly Ultra app. It creates based on when the runners have been going over those timing mats, it creates a predicted time, so you can track them and where they should be. As I mentioned, use Find My Friends or Apple on Apple, or share live location. And then, as I mentioned, we have a timing antenna or mat 300 and in some instances 600 meters from the aid station, and that'll trigger the notification. It'll also we have an MC at the aid station who will then read out your bib number to then enter the relay changeover if you haven't already. Arrive 1 hour early, earlier before your teammate is due to arrive. We've talked through that. Listen to the MC calling out your bib number and watch for the alerts on the app. Enter the relay holding bay. When they arrive, enter the chute, high five, and you're off. And make sure you cross over the timing mats as you exit. Aid Station 2 baggage operation. So this is kind of the layout, a bit of a diagram is what you'll see. Look out for your bib, your wave number on the sign. Enter there. We will have odds and evens on one side. Wave B is slightly bigger, so we have 2 pens for them. There'll be volunteers helping you out to find your bag as well. Once you have your bag, please then go and drop your old belongings into this bag drop area. We'll then put that into the truck and take it to the finish line for you. And then you shoot back out at the back and off you go, continuing your journey. Course hazards, as I mentioned, you must follow the road rules. Only cross on a green light and ensure you look left and right before crossing roads. Residents will be driving out of their driveways, so just be careful when you're in high residential areas. Several tight areas, so just look out for general public as well and just be conscious of everyday users. There's a number of uneven services. I know you've probably more than likely done a trail event or an ultra or something similar. It's part of the experience, so just be careful. Some other areas of concern: high tide at 6:50. So if you are around the beach, look out for that. Circular Quay is busy. Cremorne Point between Cremorne Point and Mossman Rowers is a busy path. Spit to Manly section, as I mentioned, is quite busy, and the Shelley to Manly walkway as well is very busy. Wildlife. So this is a direction from the Harbour Trust. They've asked us to share this information with you. And again, it's part of our conditions. So I'll read this out. It's important that runners are aware of the abundance of flora and fauna on course, especially within the national parks and Sydney Harbour Foreshore Trust Land. Adhere to all signage, stay on the paths and track. If you identify any issues, i.e. sick animal, or possible impact on the environment, please advise race officials. Don't handle wildlife. You probably won't, but please don't, and take care after 7 p.m. if you're still out there. North Head is a refuge for echidnas, reptiles, frogs, and more than 100 special species of birds. It's home to a number of rare and endangered plants and animals, including eucalyptus, Caffegilia. I think I've said that wrong. A population of long-nosed bandicoots, little penguins, eastern suburbs, Banksia scrub. They're also locally extinct species. So just be aware out there. You should be fine, but just be aware of the wildlife and just be respectful. Toilets and water. In addition to the water services at the aid stations and water stations, as I said before, there's numerous public toilets. And there's a link to the map, which will have all those public toilets and also and water points. Please ensure you don't use the bush and streets as a toilet. Really important. We did get some feedback last year of participants doing it, so just be respectful of the general public. As I mentioned before about the cutoff and redirection plan, as you can see, aid station 1 cutoff is 9 o'clock, aid station 2, 12:20, aid station 3, 4:20, aid station 4, 6 o'clock, and the finish line 8. You'll see the times are slightly different here, the average pace. We've done an assessment on the technical nature of each leg, also where you are on that leg in the course. And based on review of last year, we've identified that obviously the earlier sections, people are running a lot quicker. So that just helps us manage the course a lot better and gives you guys a better experience. Redirection points, Mrs. McCrory Chair, so that's at 28 Ks and we'll skip 1.5 Ks. Redirection point at Middle Head, which is at 51.5, and that's at 2.7 K distance skipped. And then the North Head Loop, which is the final one, which is the critical one. If you don't make it by 6 o'clock, then we will need to redirect you straight up Darley Road and you will skip 5.5 kilometres. We will, as I said, we will take your bib numbers down if you miss the cutoff, and then we'll relay that to the person managing the redirection points, and they will politely ask you to follow the redirection points, and please just follow their guidance and try not to argue with them. And to the finish line. So this is the finish area, just to give you perspective. That's what it was like last year. Pretty electric atmosphere down there. A lot of happy faces, a lot of sad faces too, a lot of sore faces. So what we've got. Finish line here, then come across. We've got the timing. 3, we go into metals and drinks distribution, running room, recovery area, doing massages. Business New South Wales, we're doing some ice baths. Number 5, we've got, number 6, we've got medical. And then over the other side, we've got some the podium for the presentations and an opportunity for you guys to take a photo. We've got Trail Brew, Johnson & Johnson, and some more opportunities for spectators to sit in this space. We also have a bunch of clubs, running clubs down the bottom here with their tents. They'll be there all day cheering you on. Transportation, as I alluded before, the shuttle from Manly to Bondi will be departing at 3:45 and 4. So that's from Stand E at Belgrave Street, just here. During the race, I would suggest everyone takes public transport. Obviously, the Sydney ferry service is really useful for what we're doing. There's the Manly to Clontarf shuttle bus, which takes relay runners and support crew from this location to Clontarf and operates throughout the day. 30-minute leaves every 30 minutes from Manly and every 30 minutes from Clontarf. There is very limited parking at Aid Station 2, which is over at Milsons Park. So I strongly suggest that you catch public transport. Milsons Point Station is just up the road. And post-race, plenty of public transport around Manly. Trip Planner, a great app to be able to determine where you need to go on the day. So emergency and medical protocol. So we have medical at every aid station. We have roaming medical teams, and we have medical at the finish, and then also in the start, which I've touched on. There is a medical support number, which you'll see on the back of your bib. 0493 609 634. If you are injured or you see a fellow participant injured or needs support, please call that number straight away and we'll be able to respond. Alternatively, reach out to a course marshal or event crew and they'll be able to get support for you. Please ensure you fill out the back, just your personal information and medical information. That helps us respond once they get there. If you're unable to communicate, this information is really important for us, especially the emergency contact details and pre-existing conditions. We ask that fellow competitors help out. If you do see someone down on the ground and they can't move or need support, and there's no course marshals around, we ask that you run forward to then get some more support or run back, whatever works best. For an emergency, any day emergency, just call 000 first and then call the medical support number. The quicker we can get an ambulance there, the better. Event safety, really critical. This is obviously 80K Ultra is a pretty significant event, so not taken lightly, I'm sure, by any of you guys, especially for those that are running their first one. This is really important. So don't run if you're feeling unwell or you have an injury. Roaming and static event medical will be across the course, as I mentioned before. So please advise race officials if you're feeling unwell. Don't push yourself if you're feeling unwell. Contact details on the back of the bib we touched on. Please ensure if you do pull out, you notify a course representative, a course marshal, or an event crew, so then we can account for you and we don't go chasing or looking for you post-event. There is a sweeper vehicle as well that we have on the north and the south side. If you do pull out, we can arrange for that sweeper vehicle to come get you. But again, we just need to understand your location through the course marshals or event crew. Please remain hydrated and refueled throughout the day. Aid stations have plenty of refreshments and food, but please take your own if you need it. Make sure you carry all the mandatory gear. There's no, this is there for your safety. No gear, expect a penalty. Wear comfortable and light clothing, and understand your body. As I said before, if you get dizzy or you feel unwell, please stop and cool down. And I couldn't predict better weather for an event like this, in terms of it's a cooler morning, a good cloud cover, and a nice some sun out as well. It will later in the day obviously get a little bit warmer, so just look after yourself. but yeah, as a weather forecast, it's looking pretty good. And that is the end of the presentation. Plenty of detail there, and I appreciate you guys all listening in. If you've got any further questions that you need answered, post this, please reach out to us. A lot of the information is obviously on the website. We might try and just go out to a couple of the questions and answer those if they're not already. Yep,
I've got a bunch of questions here. Is it okay to run with tracking poles? We said yes last year. I think we say yes again this year. Would trail shoes or runners be optimum road running? Road runners was recommended by a lot of our run coaches for last year, unless you were just doing sections, and then trail has been recommended at the last leg, but only if they're lightweight with carbon rather than heavier trail shoes. So road runners really is the general rule that everyone's kind of recommended to us. UTMB, it is a qualifier, but it does not earn you running stones. So it's not a UTMB event. Disposable cup collection, you can collect it along with your bib. So basically any rule of thumb that goes with your bib goes with the cups as well. So whether you're going to collect it at the start line in Bondi on race morning or on the 27th, or at the start of your leg for relay runners, there'll be a few just in case any of the relay runners missed it as well. There'll be some there too. Wave number. So for ultra runners, Simo, do you want to scroll back to the bib images? Gosh, those houses are nice.
You dreaming, Al?
I know. I work for a charity. It's never gonna happen. Okay, so this one, obviously if you're an elite, the one on the far left, the pro solo, it says your name in the bottom, so you're going to be taking off as an elite runner. The solo runners, it's this thing that's circled in red that says wave A, and for relay runners, except for wave 1 or leg 1 runners, obviously the rest of you don't have a wave, but for leg 1 runners, someone actually responded with the answer, which was, hold on, it was in race roster and your team captain can find it, but I thought Sarah McGill. Relay waves on the registration details page. Captain has access to this. Beautifully answered. Sorry. Timo, you jump in any of these if you want to. I'm just trying to go through them quickly.
Whereabouts are you up to, Al? What time?
I'm at no possibility for relay runners to drop bags. No, sorry. Remaining runners of the relay, if the runner ahead has to DNF, you still take off. So if you head to the website, everything relay related, www.bondimanlyultra.com/relay. It has that info on there as well, but just relay information is generally on that page. So recommend checking that one out. But no, you are not DNF'd, the team is not DNF'd. But as a general rule, this is why we've put in the redirection points as well. So hopefully, no one's DNF'd. We want to get everyone to the finish line if we can. Something about Milsons Park Aid Station. There's a lot about Milsons Park Aid Station. If it was about driving there or getting dropped off further away, did you mention about McDougall Street being closed? Yeah. And so access is going to be really difficult. We try and keep all the roads clear for our medical teams. And so if you are using not public transport, if you are getting driven or using an Uber or whatever, then try and get dropped at Milson, at the station, and just plan to walk a little bit, just because access around that area is going to be really tough. The little gate in the wall at North Head. Not sure if this has been addressed, but at North Head, when you're coming down from North Head above Shelley Beach, in the last 3 kilometres or 2 kilometres, 1.5 kilometres even, there is a little sandstone gate in the wall. It is a bit of a it's a bit deceiving. You would never think that there was going to be that the trail goes through the wall because there's a fence, a little gate in it, but it's a big sandstone wall. You have to go through this tiny little gate. I don't have an image of it, like a photo of what it actually looks like, but you go through that gate and turn left. There will be signs there, but last year someone had swapped the sign around so it faced the other direction. If you turn right, you go off a cliff. You don't go off a cliff. You would work out, hopefully, that there is a cliff there, but you have to be really careful. So just go through the gate and turn left, and it takes you down through the bushland and stuff. So just be super careful. Oh, there we go. He's got it.
So
it's
quite
the other
small. Watch your
side
head.
of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is small. Someone knocked their head on it last year as well. So just, yeah, be
So you
careful.
come through this way. To the left.
Yeah, definitely. To confirm the GPX file post online currently, yes, yeah, it was updated. I think at the start of this week, once we got all the Wellings Reserve route finalised with Northern Beaches Council. So if you downloaded it last week, it will be slightly different, but it is now updated. So if everyone can update it, obviously there'll just be a couple of very small changes in there, and there will be course signage on, like out on course. So hopefully with all of those things you'll be fine. But yeah, download the most recent version onto your watch. Stage 4 runners don't have to go up Collins Beach Road, no, but they still have to do the same amount of elevation, so it's still not super fun, unfortunately. Sorry. Coca-Cola will be at the aid stations. Yes, it will be slightly defizzed in the morning and kept on ice, not completely flat though. Public toilets are accessible on each leg of the relay. Yes, if you look at the Google map on the website under bondimanlyultra.com/course-map, that Google map shows you where the bathrooms are on course as well. So I'm just going to cough. If our bib number is 3111, for example, does that indicate wave 3? No. So well, we touched on this before anyway. You can find it. It doesn't indicate your wave. No head torch is required for mandatory kit, correct. That is kind of one of the main reasons why we brought forward the finish time this year. So it is now 8 p.m. So we should have, the sun will set like before that, but we should have some dwindling light still for all of our runners. So we don't have to have head torches, which is lovely.
We will have a few spares at aid station 4 if people do get there late and it's the sun's coming down, it's a dark evening for whatever reason, still have some spares there to hand out to people.
Yeah, like tonight, it's a bit dim.
Yeah.
Can you have bag drop at aid station 3 or just 2? Sorry. Public transport free again this year for runners and for spectators? No. Last year we were lucky that the Manly Fast Ferry was I don't know how to word it, a bit more independent, and so they were able to offer us free ferry rides for our runners. But this year it is all under Transport for New South Wales, and we weren't able to organise it this time. Sorry. There is all the free shuttles, like from Manly to Clontarf is still a free shuttle that can be used for runners and spectators. So Manly, Clontarf, Clontarf, Manly, that Simon went through already. Sun cream at aid stations, yes. What sort of food will be at the aid stations? We have oranges, bananas, and watermelon. No apples, sorry. We have chippies, we have some chocolates, we have nuts, and we have lollies. And we do have a backup of some salt tablets. So if you are seizing up and need some salt tablets, then you can ask the team for them. What do you do if your bib doesn't have a wave on it? Check on race roster and you'll be able to find it. Will trail brew be thoroughly stirred this year? It has been written over and over and over again. So, that's not a guarantee, but hopefully it should be stirred properly, and I'm sure it will be. We have made a point of it this year. Slushy machines, we are up there for thinking. No, this is a possibility, maybe. there might be some surprises on course. That will be my only word. We like to surprise here, guys. That's all the questions. Zoomed through them, sorry. The only thing I just wanted to add at the end, like here, at the end of the briefing, while anyone comes up with any final questions, is just check the website. Like, we have, you know, a multitude of pages on the website. I've tried to keep everything as simply categorized as possible, but check the website, check our Facebook, our Instagram. There's heaps of information. We've tried to categorize things. We've got spectator or support crew info, we've got relay info. Everything's on the website, or it should be, and this will be on the website tomorrow as well. So if you missed a section, then you can jump on and watch it again. And you know, this is our second year event, so obviously we got a whole heap of learnings from our first year event. We try and be perfect, but we're never going to be perfect. So like, we love all your feedback. We really read every single thing. Like Simon and I, the whole team, we read everything from last year and tried to do everything basically that we could. So we, you know, we'd love to hear feedback. Keep things in mind if you can. And we'll, you know, take it all on board and hope to make next year and every year better and better and better.
I'll be back.
So thank you, guys. Oh, is it possible that the slides separate to the recording? Yes, we can chuck the slides on the website. I don't see any reason why we couldn't do that. Sorry, best place to buy a thermal blanket. Like a
important.
I don't know who this is. Sorry, so I can't mute them. Best place to buy a thermal blanket, like a Kathmandu or Anaconda, would be pretty easy ones.
Race briefing for Bondi.
Oh, sorry, I don't know where they are.
There's not. They don't have any food.
They don't have any food. Okay, I'm gonna try and wrap us up. Sorry, Chemist Warehouse. Someone's just responded for you. There was another question here. Are the beach sections on the actual beaches or on walkways? They're on actual beaches. There are a bunch of actual, you know, sand running sections. And there are beaches pretty much in every single leg. So yes, there are beaches everywhere. Anything else?
Go the
All
All
Blacks.
Blacks. I think that's pretty important.
Sorry, was there a question like a
Yeah, the collapsible cups. So I've ordered one.
Oh,
but I
yep.
don't know when I'm meant to get it.
Have you got your bib?
I do.
Are you an ultra runner or a relay runner?
Relay runner.
Which leg?
The fourth.
The fourth. So you'll pick it up from Clontarf. Go to the Rego tent just before you start. We ask all relay runners to get there an hour early anyway. So if you can get to an hour early based on when your leg 3 runner is going to get there. So if they're going to get there at like 11 a.m. or 1 p.m., whatever time it is, you get there at midday just so you can stretch, be prepped, just in case they're quicker, you never know. And then grab your cup there. There'll be a stash of them waiting.
Oh, great. Thank you.
No dramas. BCF is also good for the space blanket. Someone's jumped on. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Simon, as well. Zooms through everything.
Look forward to seeing you on the weekend.
Yes, definitely. Mates pacing along the course. We've had a couple of people ask this. Obviously, you know, it's hard for us to limit your mates running with you. We would just say, like, they can't use the aid stations, obviously, and give preference to all of our runners. And we do want to limit the number of people on the course. Because there's going to be the public, there's going to be everything else. So just, you know, limited mates, but, you know, if you're desperate, go for it. Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. Awesome. Wrap it up.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks all.
Bye.